Good evening, SBC. Good evening, SBCC. And good evening to all points around and in between, up and down, left and right. This is the December 14th, 2021 edition of SBC Tuesday Talk. Glad that you can join us and be with us and spend time with us for an hour or so on this lovely December Tuesday night. And I'm your host, Mr. Mike Walker. Glad you can join us here. We have a plethora of topics to talk about tonight. Some pretty deep, and you, the audience, can join in and give us your comments, criticisms, or concerns. Okay. So without further ado, we introduce our great panel, great minds, starting with Tamara from Arkansas. Tamara VL Foils from Chicago, Illinois. Marcus Wilbanks from the marvel city of Bessemer, Alabama. And we have Kirsten Thompson. She is from California. Glad to have y'all with us this night. Glad to have y'all here. First up, as you know, a lot of people, especially since the pandemic has started, a lot of people have gotten their, I guess, a lack of a better term, their hustle. You know, they're starting their own business, own organization, own ministries, own everything. Starting groups like mine, you know, and it is a vision for them. It's something that they're trying to accomplish. And the thing is, it would be nice if they met someone that supported them in their vision. Okay. And I guess the first topic is a two-parter, I guess. And we got Leslie here with us as well. Glad to have her with us. And this question is a two-parter, I suppose. Is couples supporting each other's vision. Okay. And then the other part is a relationship a partnership? So, but we just stick with this first. Couples supporting each other's vision. How important is it for couples to support each other's vision? Who'd like to take a stab at it?
Let me take the lead on this one, Mike, if you don't mind.
No. It was
Tamara. Go ahead. Oh, Tamara. Okay, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think it's very important. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth right there. Tamara is extremely important. Let me take it a step further. It's extremely important. Better yet, extremely is another statement. Let's say universally important right there.
Okay. So, but let me ask the panel this. Do any of you have a vision that you would love to have someone support you with?
Well, let's see. I think of many ways that I could have a vision supported for my benefit anyway. And when it's supported by my benefit, it'll support the my partner's benefit. The only vision that I have for my future relationship is that it bodes well with mental and emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't push my buttons, I don't push yours here. That's the number one thing that I would think of when I want that part of the vision. That's number one. Number two, as far as you know, as your piggyback on your first question, Mike, as far as how important is the relationship is. When I say it's universally important, it is universally important just to support your future spouse, your future mate. Doesn't matter if it's your mate, if you're maybe opposite sex or just your equal sex anyway. Just as long as the basic standards apply as to, hey honey, how you doing? How's your day? That's the part that you got to start out with here.
Okay.
So we're going with the basics first before we take it to step 2, step 3.
Okay. Trevor North asks, I guess he's asking me this question. Couples as in marriage or in dating, I say both.
Both.
I say both. I mean, of course, it is goes without mentioning in a marriage. Of course, you definitely want that. But in dating, especially if you're dating with a purpose, and that's the key right there. Not this you're just dating just cause. No, you dating with a purpose. Then it's good to have that person support your vision. And Andre Evans is very important to get that support from your mate. And of course, Reggie Reg says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keeps the law, happy is he. Victor. VL, yeah.
I think you on mute, VL.
Uh-oh. Then we have major lag on Victor's part.
He's freezing up.
Lag. I think Victor's lagging.
I wonder if he know he's freezing up though. Well, in the meantime, who else had their hand up?
Miss Kirsten has.
Yeah, Kirsten. Go ahead.
So I first want to say yes. I believe that we as a couple of dating, marriage, should support one another in whatever. Or I won't say whatever. In things that are important to your mate. I want to say this though. I am in my 50s. And if brother man come to me at 50 plus years old and say, I decided I wanted to be a rapper, I think we need to talk. I'm just saying.
Great line. Great line.
I think the conversation need to take place. I mean, LL Cool J started when he was a teenager, and he's up in age now. That's a different story than when you want to come at 50 and say, I want to be a rapper, or I want to, I have this pipe dream. We need to talk about these pipe dreams. So there's definitely a difference between supporting your mate and something that's going to have a true focus, that's going to have something, that is going to be reliable, especially if it's going to be income focused. If it's something like, having a group such as SBC or SBCC, supporting them in that aspect is great and wonderful. But to come out and say, this is going to be my income, I want to be a rapper, that's all I want to do for the rest of my life. Yeah, that's something that's a true conversation that needs to be had, because at the end of the day, I don't know, I'm gonna support you to a point, but if you rapping saying, I got my eye on the prize, and we're gonna do it in the end, and we're gonna win. We got an issue. I'm just saying.
Oh,
and I think that makes a difference right there. I think that makes a difference. Oh, Leslie's in the audience. Glad to have you here, Leslie. And I'm gonna say this. It depends on what the endeavor is. Like, like you said, a rapper, and not to shoot down anyone's dreams, or what you call it.
Aspiration.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for helping this old man out. You don't want to shoot down their aspirations, but you also need to be a realist.
Right.
You have
That
to be a
part.
realist, though. I mean, let's go back to the 80s. And most of us can remember the 80s. Good, or at least I know 5 of us can, but
Amen.
yeah, and,
I'm the only one in this group that was born in the 80s.
okay. But listen, fellas and young ladies struggled to be a rapper back in those days.
Mhm.
It wasn't that easy then.
No.
So let's fast forward to the 21st century, and you're an older person, middle age. Rappers are almost a dime a dozen these days.
Yeah, you got that right.
So if you're gonna have a dream or aspiration, get something that's viable, something that is going to work, and also something that would seem attractive to a potential mate, to a potential helpmate. Now, let's not get it twisted. Now, we don't want to go into the area of saying, well, I'm attracted to his potential. You know how that goes. Yeah, I'm attracted to his potential. No, let's use a little spiritual common sense now.
Hello.
Is this person working now while they're chasing their dream? Are they bringing in an income? Do they have their own place? This,
Right.
that, and the fifth. So, you have to be careful with that. So, Tiffany says, I think it's super important to support each other. Support could mean accountability, participation, and or building. Okay. Angela Madison says, if you can't support or help me with a practical endeavor, at least don't try to kill it on my motivation. Okay. Keena says, aspiration must match ability. In other words, if I come to y'all and gonna say, hey, y'all, I'm gonna try to be a Grammy Award singer, then y'all gonna look at me like I'm crazy, though. Because I can't sing a lick, though.
First thing I'm gonna say is, hold up, Mike. I didn't know you could sing.
There you go.
So yeah, that's a good point, though. If you want to be a chef, make sure you know how to cook. We don't want your restaurant to be called the Tomaine Tabernacle or something like that. You want it. Y'all stick with me. Come on. You want
we hear you.
You want safety. You want to have the ability to cook.
Right.
Let your aspiration match your ability. Ebony Washington says both people need to understand what is required of them to assist their mate while they are fulfilling their goals. It will take a lot of communication from both parties.
Agreed.
Wanda says if he retired and got a steady pension, then he can go for his dream as a rapper for fun only. We got to be able to support, but also keep our foundation in place. Okay.
I agree.
And Jelly, like Mike said, it depends on, for me, he could be making tons of money with a sexy silver fox only fan. Oh gosh, I should have read this part.
What?
That doesn't.
Jelly.
Has Jelly seen this page before? I didn't know those exist, Jelly. How you know they exist?
You know what, y'all need to quit. You know what that is. Anyway. Oh.
All right, Jelly.
leave it to the lady from Nashville. Okay. And Reggie says, and I want y'all thoughts. First, it starts with communication, understanding. What is your definition of vision? Let's write down our plan. Okay.
That's good,
Okay.
Reggie.
Okay. Anyone else on the panel has any thoughts?
Hmm.
And I think we can sit here and be silly about it, but I know so many people. I have a friend who wanted to get her PhD. At 52, 53, and that's a lot of time away from her husband, away from her home, and also having a demanding job. So we got to think about what those aspirations and visions are. And sometimes those visions, they may not bring us additional wealth, additional income, but it may just be a dream we've always had. She always wanted to be doctor. She always wanted to have the PhD. And so whatever you come in there's people in their 70s, 80s, I want to go back and get this degree in this. I've always wanted it. So, let's think about, what those things are, because we have to support not only the vision, but also realize this is someone you love, and you want them to feel good about themselves and good about the goals that they have for their life, even probably before they even met you. So sometimes we get about making it about ourselves, and sometimes we have to sacrifice for the mate to have so they can feel better about themselves, or even feel better about just achieving a goal they've always had. Especially women, because so often if you're a woman, you're a wife, you're a mother, sometimes you give up a lot to be that mother. And you come back 10, 15, 20 years later, say, oh, I want to go back and get my master's. Oh, I want to go back and, have this career. And that man who may have been the breadwinner or may have been the lead provider in that household and may not have had to take time off of work or take less hours in their career to be that, mother and stuff, may not always understand. Well, you're good. You're taken care of. Why do you want to go back and work? Why you want to go back and do this? I think we have to realize that we have to think more of the person. And sometimes we have to sacrifice so they can have a better quality of life as well.
Yes, ma'am. Victor.
He's having a hard time tonight.
We can't, and he got a lot to say, and we can't hear him.
I know.
Oh.
I really wanted to hear what he had to say too.
Deacon VL always has some good words of wisdom.
I know, and we can't hear you, brother. I hate that mess. I hate that.
I hate it. I hate it too.
Maybe his mic isn't working like what it does with me on Zoom. He may have to go get a headset or something, like some earbuds or something, and connect like that.
But yeah. But we can segue into the part though, since we've covered couples supporting each other's vision. Is a relationship a partnership? Or should I reword it and say, can a relationship be a partnership?
It could work both ways, because I believe a relationship is a partnership if you're going in the same direction. It can be, it could be a partnership.
Okay. And I look at it from, is a relationship a partnership? Because I look at, okay, we got the bishop back. Glad to have you now. Go ahead. We ready for you. Victor, we ready for you.
Okay. The thing with the support can be very subjective. And so I think a lot of times what we have to do is we need to talk about what that is. Because how can two really walk together except they agree? Because what you may expect of me, I may have a different expectation. And so, and you got to be realistic, because and state what is it that you need and negotiate that, because real world, it may be like something Leslie was talking about. It may be that you may do the degree later versus you're doing the degree now, or my support to you may be giving financial or maybe holding down the house, but you may want me to do something else. And so I think that to me is important, just knowing what that support is and getting an agreement on what it actually is, because arguments takes place a lot of times on this vision aspect, because you're expecting something and that person think they're doing something and it doesn't register. And so the spouse is not going to be doing everything you do. That in some respects is a fallacy. It's like, know what it is, because they may not be gifted. You may have a store and they may not work in the store because they're not good with people, but they may be good at managing the books. And so, but you want them to be in the store. And so you mad because you feel like they're not supporting, but they're a great accountant. Or they may have some connections to help you get the loan or something. So, let's be realistic in it, because they're not going to do everything you want them to do. They're not Alexa.
And I'm going to piggyback off of what Victor said. We expect them to operate in the same level or position as we do. And then, like I said, we get bent out of shape. Hey, you can't do this, but then there might be something else that they can do that not only that can enhance your vision, they might be filling in the gap of something that you cannot do. Right. They might see some things that you can't see. For example, let's say I get married tomorrow, okay? And she helped me run the SBC empire, okay? Now I can't expect her to get mad at the members like I do and almost cuss about it, whatever. I can't expect her to do that. But there are other aspects she might be able to take care of that I totally suck at, or I need serious help in. So, don't expect them to be equal. Well, do the same thing that you're doing. Everybody can do their part, though. Okay, I'm not getting married tomorrow, y'all. So don't. I'm just making this for an example. Sasha Doja says, in order for a relationship to be effective, there should be a partnership. There's no time, I, me, my mentality. A relationship is not a me thing, but in us thing. I agree with you, Sister Doja. You are very wise.
Very wise, very wise.
Yes. Kirsten from California, go ahead.
I was just going to say, no matter what we're dealing with as a couple, whether it's in dating or the relationship, communication is key. It has to be expressed. You didn't decide to become a rapper at age 50. That was something that you had as a dream many years prior to that. So communication has to be open, and it has to be an open aspect of any relationship. Even at the very beginning when you're dating, talk about, have a conversation about, what your was, your now, and your then is. You know what I mean? That is a key to a full understanding of a relationship. You can't just go about and say, oh, I'm a chef and I want to eventually open up a restaurant, when you ain't cooked a day in your life. You don't know how to, boil an egg. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just
You ain't cook for me. How you gonna cook for all these people? You ain't cooking for me.
I'm just saying. But you know, constant communication. I think that has to be the key in everything. So.
Oh boy.
Oh, hey.
Well, y'all off the hook. D Child says, absolutely it should be because it takes both parties to work on being in a healthy relationship in all aspects. Tiffany Murphy, with her dissertation, she says a relationship is like the human body. In order for the body to move forward, all the organs have to work in tandem with each other. Absolutely. They may have some hiccups and momentary failures, which impact its function. But in order for it to keep going, the other organs have to take up the slack. Relationships have to be a partnership. Thank you, Sister Moore. I like that, Tiffany. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't like it. I love it.
Okay. And she's a group expert, y'all. Her and Liz. Okay. Jelly says, I agree with VL. I was dating someone that said he dreamed of doing his own business of flipping houses and all repairs. Instead of my asking what support looks like to him, I used my connections to set him up for a major paying job. And it turned out his level of job was on a lesser scale. He wasn't ready and blamed me for thinking grander than he dreamed. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Jelly. I think our dreams maybe should be on the same level. You know, if I'm a dream big, then maybe you need to dream big. You know, or if someone comes along that dreams bigger than you, why don't you adjust and catch up with them? You know, and again, going back to the future Mrs. Walker, you know, if she has a bigger vision for the SBC empire, then hey, let's look into it. You know, let's see what we can do with it. Okay. That's the way I look at it. Wanda says, the right relationship should be a partnership. I want a life partner. And if we can't show partnership in the relationship, we can't just flip a switch when we get married. That's the wrong time to do it. When you get married, that's absolutely the wrong time.
Wrong time.
You know, you got to have that discussion. You got to have that work before you jump that broom. So, and we got a lot of Joe
and
said.
what you were saying, but hold up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What you were saying a minute ago, because I always like when people say, "Oh, it takes time," or people have to adjust to elevate or expand your dreams to be to the level of someone else's that you're in a relationship with. That takes time. Oops, I'm sorry. And sometimes, my brother, and sometimes we don't want to be patient because we're big dreamers. We want to get at it. We want to be rolling with it. If you can't keep up with me, you get frustrated. You get aggravated, you know. But if you love this person, if you love this person, you truly believe they believe in you, and the relationship, you would be with them during that time. So we have to. That's why, like both of y'all were saying, you have to continually communicate and not get frustrated because the person is not there where you are at that point. Because some people have different ways of thinking. Some of us are creative, and some of us are logical. And the creative is way out here saying, I'm gonna do this and this. The logical is like, hold up now, the money is not adding up.
Right.
The contract ain't signed yet. You ready to go out here and do this, and we ain't broke ground yet. It's like, hold up. You know, people think differently, and that's good because you want people to think in those different ways and help make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. But we can't get frustrated with this process of growth, this transition. And so we get frustrated and we leave folks that God has put in our life to be there for us because we're not patient enough to endure the process.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Victor,
Okay.
Victor Denmark.
It's something Leslie talked about, I think is important, is you got to know them that labor among you. You got to know the temperament of your spouse as well as the gifts of your spouse, because we're unique, we're different. And I may see something you may not see, or you may see something that I don't see, or your gifts will help you in this thing. And so it's having to look at, because, you know, everybody can't dream big. Somebody got to stay on the ground. You know, I think it's a fallacy to get everyone to think alike. Me personally, I want a woman who's going to be on the ground and let me fly. And then there's time she's going to fly. I don't necessarily want us to be both flying. I want to have a level of a balance with it. To put it in perspective, because it's good to be land and it's good to be air. And so knowing where your spouse is and knowing where the season is, to me, I think is so important, because conflict occurs because we see things different.
Right.
And so I just think that the cookie cutters don't work in relationships, because we're human. And being that we're human, we have different backgrounds. And we may have the same objective, but we don't always have the same methodology. And it's having to know them that labor among you, and not just know them, but be able to accept their gifts. Because sometimes the prophet is not given honor in their own country. And in relationships, you got to be able to accept and understand the gifts as well as the temperament that's within your spouse, and being able to respect it and saying, you're going to see things different than me. And let me not move too quick, because we need to walk in unison and harmony. And it may mean that my leg may go before yours, but I can't drag you in the process. So just that.
Good, Bishop.
Marcus Wilbank.
Just to piggyback on both Leslie and Victor. For mostly on Leslie, I think you talked about this one last week on last week's Tuesday Talk about the forms of hugging. I think you can go for the church hug, and what else you say, the double D hug, like you said. That goes well with the part of embracing somebody when it comes to an equal partnership and an equal relationship here. It's like you have to be encouraging. Be encouraging to the person who's trying to shoot for their aspirations, their ability to, as Mike wants to say, he wants to be a Grammy Award-winning singer, or 50-year-old wants to be a rapper here. But in any aspect, you have to. I want to say this to anybody that is in the young Generation Z age here. If you want to support your partner's dreams, you have to embrace them. You have to give them a warm embrace. Give them a side church hug or the double D hug, and tell them, look them in the eye and just say, listen, if you got the ability, if you got the talent, if you got the notion that you want to reach that pinnacle of the point, hey, don't shoot them down. Don't shoot them down here. Tell them to push. Tell them to push. And just like in church, when they say push, pray until something happens here. So in any aspect, embrace them. That's another form of communication when you have to be in equal partnership when it comes to being with that special someone here. Mike.
Thank you, Deacon Wilbanks.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Josette says the couple should come together and pray about what God's will is for the situation. My passion is the medical field. If he wants his own construction business, that's great. He can call me when he gets hurt. I'll be glad to stitch him up. Oh, well, okay then, Fortenberry. Okay. Okay then. I hear you.
That's another form that says, "Hey, I got you. You got a big old boo boo on your left arm. I'm gonna stitch you up here. I'm gonna put some Band-Aid on you."
Reggie says communication. Understanding is the biggest thing in a relationship partnership. When you don't have a plan, the relationship will crash. Sort of like a car accident. You don't stay in your lane, you will crash. We have to know our roles. Okay. Andrea Jenkins from Virginia says, I think you have to also look at how many dreams they've had. Are there someone who keeps jumping around or always starting and stopping something? I think this speaks to their stability or lack thereof. And Sheila from McCall. In a partnership, our dreams may not start out equal, but by communicating our vision, we may be able to share and participate in the greater vision. Okay? I think. Victor, go ahead.
Going back to something Andrea said, there was a story I heard years ago. There was a man who could never keep a job. He kept getting fired. He had asked his wife, could they use some money because she was working to buy a truck? And so many times she said no, because he couldn't keep a job. And so finally she agreed to him of them putting money for him to have a truck. The man bought one truck and he began to haul what they call junk around. His business grew that he had a fleet of trucks hauling junk. The reason he could not keep a job is not because he wasn't a good employee, was because he was an entrepreneur. And he had that passion. She eventually figured it out. And when I heard that years ago, it revolutionized my thinking about, sometimes discounting people because of what we think, because he was an entrepreneur. He wasn't an employee. And so his disposition was totally different. And so we got to be cautious not to look at the outward appearance, but to understand and discern what God is really saying and what that person is really saying beyond their words. Because we can make a mistake so easily because of what we think.
But we also need was that me? Oh, we also need to do that for ourselves. When we find ourselves in the midst of not having peace and life isn't just chaotic, we just can't get things moving forward. Are we working outside of our calling? Are we working outside of our purpose? Sometimes you got to sit your own self still and not get frustrated with other people being frustrated with you because you're frustrated with your own life. Sit down. Focus your own self on what you want to do for yourself. What is your passion? What is your purpose? And walk in it faithfully, diligently, purposefully, because people can get frustrated in those spaces. Marriages break up in those spaces because people are not sitting still and acknowledging that I'm not working in my purpose. That's why life is not, it's not saying I'm not being blessed, but I'm just not producing. I'm not manifesting anything in my life. And then you get to realize, hold up, I'm a child of God. I'm going to be producing some fruit. I'm going to be multiplying. So where do I need to multiply? How do I need to multiply? We can't, if you're not producing anything, you're in the wrong spot.
Let me read this and then we go to Victor. Andrea Sylvie says, this is why you need to see one another in all seasons and have deep dive conversations during the dating/data collecting stage. Let me read this point again. Have deep dive conversations during the dating/data collection stage. You need to know one another intimately. Go ahead.
Capital T, capital N, capital W. Move.
One of the most, I think, important things in the partnership is believing in the person. There was a person I know, when they first got married, the guy, I think he would work part-time jobs. The wife was a breadwinner. He was in medical school. That was maybe 20-some years ago. Today, he owns his own medical practice. His wife doesn't work now. His wife, when they go on vacation, before probably going on vacation may have been going to the local amusement park. Today, when they go on vacation, they go anywhere around the world, but she believed in him and she believed in his vision, even though it was challenging, because many times people think when you have vision is not going to be hunky-dory. It's just like farming. It's not going to be hunky-dory. It's going to take work and it's going to cost you something. And so it's a fallacy to think things are always going to be perfect. You got to believe in that person despite the storm. You got to believe in that person despite the distractions. When a seed goes in the ground, it goes through winter, summer, fall, and spring. It goes through different phases. And so will you support them when the winter comes? Will you love and believe in them when you're like in the Sahara Desert and there's no rain? So do you believe in me? And so one of the things I think is important, something that someone once said, I think in this panel, but I know the prophet Miles often says that you got to be able to discern who you're with. You got to be able to discern and know God for yourself. Because if you don't know God for yourself and knowing who that person is, their heart and what God is saying, because you'll look at a David and you'll say he's a hoe. And you may not see him as a king. Or you'll see him as a murderer, but you may not see him as a worshiper. You may see him as a fool dancing in the middle of the street, but you don't realize that's a praiser. And so it's so important. The support comes in so many different ways, and there's so many, because they challenge you. When you're with a spouse, it's like you locked in, and what you do affects me, and what you may be doing may be costing me something that may tap into my triggers, my dysfunctions, my traumas, or my perceptions of stuff. And so it's not that bed of roses, because many times we look at life like the fairy tales, and it's not that. You're going to be Peter walking on the water, and there's going to be some storms. But will you still trust Jesus when you're walking on the water and it appears like you're sinking? To the missionary, the arch evangelist, now it's on you.
All right, come on,
Yeah, the church say amen to that.
I just say, Pastor Plate, you done preached, Pastor. You done preached. You done did what you needed to do.
The bishop should have been on this. This should have just been you and the bishop, Mike.
Well, one day that'll happen. Just keep y'all ears open. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, I like this what Dee said. The difference is 25, 30 years ago, some were more loyal to their partners without all the extra distractions. Interesting. And Sister Evangelist Madison says Givelify is available at this time. Okay, we'll get on to this next topic. And with the time we have left, we can easily cover this one. Simply dealing with relationships. Again, dealing with relationships. I just ask it. How long do you wait for a commitment? I know we're not going to wait forever.
No.
I mean, if you get in the sense, you're not going to wait forever, though. But what is a timetable to wait? Is there a timetable? Is each relationship different? Like they say, results may vary. how long are you willing? The arch evangelist, go ahead. She raised that hand quick. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, now I've always been a true believer that when you first start dating a person, when you dating a person, you are them both alike. You always on your best behavior. About 3 months in, you're gonna start seeing some changes. You're gonna start seeing that behavior change, some things happening. 6 months in, it's a totally different atmosphere because now they have become completely comfortable. You have become completely comfortable. So there comes all of these other things. I believe that um, commitment takes time. Again, communication, the intimate details of understanding who you're dealing with. You don't. I believe we talked a few Tuesdays ago talking about jumping into a relationship so quickly, and you don't know if they are axe murder, they done did prison time. You know nothing about that person, and you're ready to jump and marry them, and you've only known them for 2 weeks. I truly believe that a person should.
Mm-mm.
Doggone Kirsten.
What I believe she was going to say is that she believed in the 4 seasons. I've heard her say this enough.
I truly believe in the 4 seasons of a person. I truly believe that without a shadow of a doubt, because you're gonna see, so especially if you guys are now if you have met online and you're dealing with each other online, there has to come a time and a place where you need to meet each other one on one. But if you living in the same city and you see them, when you first met, I'm gonna just be honest. When you meet a person, you don't you hold your flagellants and you don't burp and you be all ladylike and he ain't gonna he ain't gonna show that side of himself, and then suddenly all of a sudden 3 months in you start seeing all these other things. I mean, why would you not want to get to know a person before you decide to commit to? Now, I'm not. I wanted the one thing I wanted to clear up. I'm not saying I have never been a serial dater. I cannot date 4 and 5 people at. I can't date 2 or 3 people at a time. Shoot, I can't have the. I done got too old to try to keep up with the names. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm just. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So why would you want to date 3 and 4 and 5 people at a time? Why would that be? Why not take the time? If they were important enough, if you allowed them to come into your space, why not get to know that person instead of getting to know 4 and 5 people? So I believe 3 to 6 months before a commitment. There, mic off.
And if you're trying to get to know 5 or 6 people at the same time, you're gonna be worn out. You know, you got to talk to them, have a full conversation with each one. No, man. Some people try it though. I don't know what to say about them though. Anyone else got a timetable about how long do you wait for a commitment?
I don't believe in waiting. There's a time and place when you take your time, however long it takes. That's me. Because commitment is as commitment does. So it could take you could date someone for a year before you decide you want to be exclusive. That's a conversation that you two will have. So, commitment when you're ready, or when you guys have that conversation, then you make that decision. That's what would work for me. So, if it took 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I'm okay with that. But that's just me.
Victor, then Marcus.
I kind of agree with the prophet. I've been one who've had time frames, and though I could have, certain gifts and stuff like that, I can recognize stuff. But I've come to realize there's still seasons. Though I may see something, it doesn't mean that it's going to be tomorrow. And so I think that it's important to go through seasons and use discernment, because the truth of the matter is most of us, all of us are believers, and we talk about time frame. But the last time I checked, Jesus died over 2,000 years ago. And he waiting for his church. And so something the Lord told me that I'll say for me, he said, Victor, he said, what are you in a rush? If it's a lifetime commitment, why do you need to rush? And a lot of times that is because we just want to have sex. We want sex in marriage. And so I'm like, whatever length of time it takes, so be it. I ain't in a rush, because if it's a lifetime, it's a lifetime. I don't want fruit before it's season, and I don't want fruit to rotten. I'm just learning how to trust God through the process, and I don't have to dictate it. I used to say 6 months. I used to say 90 days. I used to say 9 months, and I used to say a year. I don't say any of that right now. I just trust the Spirit of God.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Marcus.
Just to piggyback on the evangelist, Ms. Kirsten and Ms. Tamara, and of course Brother Victor, and also to reverse right back to the word commitment here. Commitment holds multiple meanings. It holds multiple meanings, but it's always a common goal towards how long would you should wait. And just to piggyback on over almost an hour ago about your internal organs working like clockwork here, you got to be patient here. I'm a firm believer of having the patience to acknowledge you and me. It's not the me and the I on that one. It's like the us and the we. And just like Ms. Kirsten always says, 3 to 6 months, that sounds like a good time frame. That's probably the best time frame. I could easily say, guess what? I want to be exclusive with the lady I love here. And Ms. Tamara, great point in a firm believer, as well as Brother Victor. We don't put a time frame on that one. So if you want to be patient with me, I want to be patient with you, just in case you're ready. So as far as my firm belief, I want to be exclusive when I want to be ready to be exclusive, because I'm not ready yet. If I tell you I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet. If I want to take it a step further, I want to take a step further here. So I'm kind of in the mixed bag, but yet overall, patience is a virtue. Plain and simple, like pound cake, y'all.
Like pound cake.
Yep, like pound cake.
Okay.
Like pound cake.
But to say this, and I think that's one of the reasons why some of us are rushing toward marriage, so we can have sin-free sex.
Mm.
You know, and I mean that's a plus now. I mean, that's a good fringe benefit, you know, but marriage is more than that, though. So you, in whatever time it takes, you got to witness all 4 seasons and just see how things go. Because, things will be good in the beginning. You know, you're happy, in love, butterflies in your stomach, the air is sweeter, food tastes better, everything else. But then as time goes by, those little idiosyncrasies start working your nerves. They was all right at first, but then it started just gnawing at you. you know. So it takes time. It takes time. That's all I can say. So, with that said, we are out of time. We reached that. We reached the end of the road tonight. So it's been a good one, and appreciate it. And it is time. If I can find them, it's now time for the announcements. And here we go. Coming up next, maybe around about 1/2 past, we will have our after party. It will be a Zoom link that will be posted in SBC and SBCC, and you'll see this graphic. Just click on the link, come on in, learn how to act right, mute your phones when someone call you, and have a good time, okay? And then come Saturday, we have another after party, the Saturday Night Social. It's expanded. We play games, we talk, we chit chat, we rap, and we just have a good time though. We had some troublemakers there. Local law enforcement had to come get them, but hey, everything is good though. And come next Tuesday, Lord willing. Y'all thought I was gonna put the other one up there. No, we will do that next Tuesday. Shoot your shot. And we will have some people, you know what Shoot Your Shot is. I'll make the announcements later on, but this is when you get online and you get a chance to present your case on, you know, why you're single, and maybe someone will shoot their shot at you. So should be a good time next week. So that is about it though, folks. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Tamara, Victor, Leslie, Marcus, and Kirsten. We had a good time, and thank you all in the audience. Without y'all, there will be no show. Thank you so much. And if it's the Lord's will, we'll see you next time. So until then, y'all take care, y'all.
Later.